Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to a brand new episode of Kaiju Conversation. Now, before you get excited, some stuff has happened recently, and Hacksaw will no longer be attending recording. There were some discrepancies behind the scenes that turned out Hacksaw could no longer record with us, and he is no longer affiliated with us. Luckily, we have found somebody brand new. On Discord, he is known as Close Crowd. How you doing today?
Good.
Good. And I'm your host, ET as always, and my co-host now is...
Uh, Jay.
Well, welcome to the podcast. We're happy to have you. And, why don't you introduce yourself, give us some background on how you got into tokusatsu and sci-fi, maybe what your favorite movie is.
Well, since I was young, I first watched Final Wars over at my cousin's house back when I was at least 5, or when I was visiting. I was playing around and such with some Godzilla toys back in the day, and I was having fun with some figures.
What figures were they? Can you recall?
Yes, they were Bandai figures.
Which ones? Also Bandai Japan or Bandai Creation?
Bandai Japan.
And do you remember what monsters they were?
Yeah. One of them was a Godzilla Bandai figure. Other one was a Rodan. And
Was it 2004?
yes.
Awesome. So what else got you into the genre of tokusatsu?
Well, when I started watching some older films for a bit over by my cousins, I didn't really have anything over at my mom's house back in the day, so I had to start going once in a while to visit my cousin just to look at some old stuff that he used to have in his closet and such, just to entertain me for a while and have fun with certain things. And then I started having other interests as well, because I found one of his discs and shelves. I believe it was called Advent Children. Yeah, it was Final Fantasy Advent Children. Got me very interested, though. I really love the story behind it and its characters.
I have not heard that. I have no idea what you're talking about there, but we may have to talk about that. It was a movie, right?
Oh yeah, it's behind the game. It's based behind the Final Fantasy genre.
That explains it. If anybody's new listening, or if I haven't said this enough on the podcast already, I'm not a gamer. I'm the worst nerd of all time. I have no idea what we're talking about when we discuss video games. So, there's some... So what else? What's your favorite movie that you've seen for Godzilla, and maybe your favorite movie of all time or something?
Well, I used to watch 007 back in the day. Big fan of the 007 films. One of them was called Spectre. I believe I still have a copy of the 007 film in my collection somewhere, my DVD collection. Maybe it was Spectre or Nightfall, but I believe it was either of the two.
And
but
what was your favorite
I think it's more
movie?
My favorite Godzilla movie was basically my childhood film, Final Wars, because I've grown up with that movie since for like a very long time. I've been watching all the other types of films because of it, and because of that film I got so interested into sci-fi and such. Now, what kind of
Interesting.
stopped
What's the
me from
big?
being able to watch more Godzilla films was 1998. That turned me off in most ways because it wasn't really Godzilla, and I didn't like how monster was portrayed in that film. It felt
Hmm,
like it wasn't really a monster at all, or something that was supposed to bring um, more of the wrath of like nature or such. I just feel like
I
it
get
didn't emanate anything at all from that.
you. Interesting. Um, I can get behind that. Uh, so you were saying Spectre is your favorite movie of all time, correct?
Oh no! I was just talking about what I used to watch before. Final Wars is definitely my favorite back in the childhood days. But for
I
now,
got
for like all time, is like 2019. Like definitely, I love 2019 film. Brought me back to like nostalgia for like a bunch, like a whole lot of Godzilla films back in the day.
you. You're referring to King of the Monsters, right?
Yes,
Okay, I got you. I was a little confused. I'm like, team that could be Endgame, that could be Far From Home, that could be Captain Marvel, that could be It Chapter 2, Joker, so many films.
yeah.
Okay, 2019, King of the Monsters. I can get behind that. Uh, I guess that's pretty good entrance. Do you have anything else you'd like to introduce the people at home to you about?
Yes, I started getting into horror films when I first watched Alien films.
I
My
gotcha.
relatives got scared of it at the time in their teenage years, and it's very special to me as well because the very first Alien film I kind of watched. I know it's like quite controversial, but I just watched Aliens Covenant, which was ironic because it came out the first day on my birthday.
Interesting. Yeah, and I know you weren't here for the past episodes, but I want to say it was the first week of October. We actually discussed horror, and in there I also expressed my love for horror, and I respect it as a genre. So definitely, I can see eye to eye with you there on how the horror movie genre is and should be treated.
Definitely.
So yeah, is there anything else you'd like to say?
I believe that's all I got for now.
Okay. Well then, great idea bringing up Alien, because as you can tell by the title of this episode, we will be doing our first ever commentary. Now, I do want to quickly say I've wanted to do a commentary on here for a long, long, long time. I've wanted to do a commentary for about 7 months. So it's awesome that we can finally get. And it's October, so horror's a big thing right now. And why not just do one of the greatest horror films of all time, even though it's also suspense and sci-fi? It does fall under the horror genre, as Jay said. Alien, directed by Ridley Scott, first released May 25th, 1979. Um, so here in a little bit, we will do a countdown. I'll just quickly say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And when I say 0, we will press play on the 00 mark. And we will just discuss the film, some facts we found, and overall our thoughts and opinions of the movie. Then when we're done, we will discuss the film for about 5 to 10 minutes, and we will finish things up here for this week. So, Jay, do you have your version of the movie at the 00 mark?
Yes.
Awesome. Personally, I am watching it on the 20th Century Fox signature collector's editions, whatever. This is the theatrical cut, not the director's cut. I want to stress that now. If you want to know the difference, director's cut is longer than the theatrical. The theatrical cut is 1 hour and 56 minutes, 36 seconds. So if it's above that, then you have the director's cut, which is a slightly superior version in my opinion, but we'll discuss that later on while watching the movie. So I guess we'll go ahead and get things started. Get ready to press play in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. And I don't know about you, but the 20th Century Fox logo is now on screen. Is that correct, Jay?
Definitely. I kind of miss this logo so much. Brought back so
Yes,
many memories.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how they never remastered the logo for this movie. It's always been the original. I love that. And here we have a very suspenseful and quiet title sequence. I believe that unlike most films where they like to build up to this huge, big, amazing logo, this one just takes its time, introduces you to all the characters as the title Alien slowly fades in one line. Now, as I've said, this film opened May 25th, 1979. As of this year, 2019, it has been out for 40 years. It had a budget of $11 million, and this came out after Star Wars, which Star Wars also had an $11 million budget. Unlike Star Wars, though, this one did not go as well as Star Wars. Actually, another fun fact is Harrison Ford was going to originally play Dallas instead of Tom Garrett. I can't say. But, yeah, kinda interesting how in a post-Star Wars world we had films like this that I would say are better than the original Star Wars. But, do you have anything to say now that the title is fully revealed, Jay?
Yeah, I like the ambience where it's heading into the space scene with everything else going straight to the space station. It really does bring that mood and more of a high tone that this is going to be something that's dark, something that's going to be mainly based on horror, sci-fi, and something is going to happen throughout this whole movie. And it also shows you a lot more what the space station looks like, what and how many parts it has on it. Kind of looks cool as well too, because it looks more like an apocalyptic one rather than like the ones that we have now in like CG and the other Alien films and such.
Yeah, and now that it's got inside and we're starting to see the innards, I do like how it gives it a very claustrophobic feel. The way the camera moves, it's going around the bars. It's really showing that you are very much encapsulated in this place. The walls are kind of low. Or not the walls, the ceiling is kind of low. The walls are a little bit cramped, There's not as much movement in here as you would think for a futuristic space station. And I love the retro looking computer systems here. You can really tell on set design they put a lot of time and effort into this film.
Not only that, but with the design of the hallways too. They try to keep it more realistic as well as sci-fi. But also they tend to keep the whole environment enclosed so that way they could feel like the whole environment is cramped up or whatever when chases happens in this game. I mean, in this film.
Yes. And I do like how these the helmets kind of hint towards the facehuggers slightly. And I do quickly want to just say we're already 4 minutes into this film, and we haven't heard one single line of dialogue. I think this kind of sets the tone that this is very simple here. All we have is Mother or the computer setting up the film, but we don't understand all of it quite yet.
And we also
Um,
get
and
the
I-
name of the ship as well as included on the screen, Nostromo.
Yes. And I believe, yes, it cuts here, and as the lights turn on, a siren, I believe, starts going. Well, no, not yet.
No,
But
not
now
yet,
we're
but-
starting to, go around that corridor, and we're going to be introduced to our character.
In the
And I do
cryogenics
like-
room.
Yes, and I do like how they have two random shirts just hanging there. I don't know why they're there. Did somebody hang it up before, going into the cryo tube?
I'm pretty
Uh,
sure it's a changed set of clothes because of the effects of cryogenesis after having to get out of the pods. Because a lot of sci-fi movies tend to say that there's a side effect whenever you get out of the cryopods, and you just either get nausea or start vomiting or something of the sorts. But it's
Well, I
basically
mean-
like a giant refrigerator for your body.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
something that's
exactly.
supposed to stop time, freeze your whole body so that way your body won't age. It's an age degradation.
Yeah, and
Basically.
I think when you think about it, the human body would definitely have to warm back up and kind of recuperate after sleeping for at least a decade. And here we have John Hurt, the first of the crew to wake up. This character was actually not supposed to. Oh wait, no, I'm thinking of Dallas. I don't.
Yeah, you are.
As you can see here, like we said, the character is very much a little bit dazed and confused and kind of nauseated right now on what's going on. But
Well, he's
here
not
we
confused. He
have-
just has nausea and such from having to get out of the cryopod.
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't realize it yet, but they find out that, yeah, they were woken up a little early, and they're probably wondering what's gone on, while they were asleep. So, here we are, 7 minutes in, and we're finally getting an actual discussion. I definitely feel like the score used to kind of insinuate, and the sound effects, really insinuated a mysterious feel. And I do like how these characters, we don't get a whole lot of their backstory, but we can kind of get from it how these people are not good people. They are just there for the money, because it's their job, and they want to get it over with, and they want to go on to the next thing.
It's basically
and I
their job description. They're there
Yeah.
only to be colonizers fighting. They're trying to find worlds that humans could colonize on, places
I
that.
believe. I don't think they were colonizing. I'm pretty sure they just ship freight from Earth to a colony, and I don't think they actually.
Well, yeah, that's part of the description as well. I'm probably thinking of Covenant right now, but yeah, they're part of a shipping company. Well, not really a shipping company, but they're part of a mega corporation, which
Yeah.
which you'll most likely know later on into the film.
Yeah, and they do reference that a lot, that they're just doing what the company tells them to do because they're under contract, so they have to. And real quick, I do want to say I love
that's
the
a
room
lot.
Mother's in.
That's a lot of buttons.
Mother. I don't know if those are all buttons, but I love the design of this room, and I love how you hear the sound of the clicking and everything. It's just. This really is a claustrophobic room, and it gives me Star Wars feeling. I don't know why. I think it's all the lights and stuff. This is amazing, and I love how it cuts from them typing to the screen and everything. I think that's a very interesting cutaway. Um, and I do love the sequence here where they're all getting ready to go finally get back to Earth, and then they find out they were woken up too early because it is not the correct solar.
Yeah, the cockpit scene is very interesting as well because you get to see how everything functions and such in the Nostromo. Plus, with the scene with this shot, like the Nostromo is huge. It's more like a space station rather than just an actual ship. But it's supposed to be a ship.
I believe it's called a star freighter. So imagine like a cargo ship, but bigger because it's a spaceship. It's kind of like a moving international space station. I guess that's what you could call it. So yeah, here we have them, and you can tell by the look on John Hurt's face, they are confused to what's going on, and why they were woken up. And here I think we also get, so I like how this kind of sets up the idea that yes, these people are just here to get their pay and go. Not here, but when we cut to Parker and Brett's scene, they're always asking, what can we get bonuses? What's the money we're getting paid for? It really shows that these characters are not just good characters. They're there because they're company people, they want a paycheck.
They're just regular class workers trying to get money in their pay jobs, basically.
Yes. And here we finally understand that there is a beacon going on in SOS that they now need to check out because under contract they have to do that. And I think you can tell on the faces of all the actors here, they are all very confused. Except for Ash, which we'll talk why Ash is not confused later. But,
well, that's because it's all the way out in unknown space and unknown territory. There's no known colony for miles away or light years to Earth.
True. And as you can see here, Parker is just worried about if we get some money or bonus, we'll do it. And then Dallas kind of shuts him down as he says, well, by contract you have to. You're doing it. But, and, you know, like here, you can completely see that these characters are not perfect with each other. They butt heads, and they...
It's more so of a loose and co-worker relationship. They're all only there for getting the money and there to do their jobs. But they have to follow by the obliged contract, which most likely they all signed their names on. Yada, yada, yada. You gotta do this, or you won't be getting any money, you won't be getting any of the bonuses, yada, yada, yada. You do this, do that. Follow the darn contract, or you won't be getting.
And here we have them leaving Star Freighter a bit to check out the mysterious SOS. As you can see, they're counting down right now as they slowly...
This sequence is really good because they had detached the cockpit ship, the freighter dropship, I believe it was. Miniature cargo ship, not really, but a medium size for the station and such.
I mean, it is all done with miniatures and wire work and hydraulics, so yeah, you're right.
And this is the part where it excites me because it's showing a view of the planet. which I almost
Yeah.
thought it was going to be some sort of weird, odd, barren planet. Kind of reminds me now, since I'm in the developed age, it looks like Felucia from Star Wars, basically. But it's with a different type of atmosphere, which you will see in the movie, and quite a
Yeah.
bit.
So now, yeah, this is a beautiful shot. The one that just happened. It was of the planet in outer space. They're kind of replicating there for a second, and it is beautiful. The cinematography in this is really good. They really did not waste time making this, trying to show beauty, horror, the lighting, and all of that. It's just, I think it fits perfect. And here we have our first bit of suspense as the aircraft is shaking. Everybody is kind of on their tippy toes, just kind of like, what's going on? And here we have the sounds of metal cracking and losing the shield apparently. So,
Most
this is
likely from the rough
already.
turbulence of the atmosphere, and from
Yes.
basically all the more rough turbulence and such from the planet's current condition with the weather.
Yes. And I really love this because it shows that, yes, they're very futuristic, but no, they are not so advanced that they can easily, you know, land on planets whenever they want. There are still issues when they land. And it really does set this in a realistic world. Other than the fact that the computers are very pixelated, everything kind of seems like what it would be for a futuristic spaceship. And this is a beautiful landing shot. How, the lighting's behind it, you have the lights on the spaceship, smoke and steam. It looks so nice, and you can't tell if it's on wires or what exactly it is on. And I think that is just amazing how they were able. And here they have finally landed on the planet, and now they can go about their business after a large alarm blaring sound goes off and everything goes to heck.
And a bunch of damage apparently as well. Systems
Yes.
seem to be popping off from the landing, and it seems the atmosphere or like from the terrain must have been rough enough for everything to drop back and break apart.
Yeah. And I don't know if they really explain why they do it, or why it happened. But here we have Parker explaining what's going on. And it doesn't sound good. They're even saying that they can't fix it. That they need some time. And yeah, you can kind of see here that they are also making stuff up. And I believe here in a second they ask how long do you need before, how long? 17 hours, Brett says, and then Parker replies 25 hours. So, you can kind of see where they're even screwing over their own team members because, they don't want to be rushed stuff. They're gonna take their sweet time and they're gonna draw it out as long as they can.
And this
You
goes
know,
in. This
oh,
goes into
go
the
for it.
part where the planet is barren and that something is definitely wrong. Like no communications are being pulled in. No one is saying anything. And everything seems totally damp and dark. The
Yeah,
planet's more barren, there's no life, only just rocks and stuff. And everything seemingly is dead.
mm, Yep. It's very much we're out in the middle of nowhere and we have nothing. Uh, and there's one thing I'm wondering: are they so advanced that the air they make is easily filterable, so they can have cigarettes while in the space station? Like, wouldn't that ruin the air?
No, they have most likely filtering vents and ventilation regressors or something that filters out impurities for the airs and such. And most likely they have like a life support system for that as well.
Yeah, probably. And I love the sound of the wind. It's very eerie. I think that's one of the amazing sound effects used. And here, I love this. We get to see Ash is acting very weird here. I don't know of a human being that would do that, but working on watching, it's kind of funny how he acts. And here we have, again, the wind howling. It's such great effects. And I always laugh at this because they have such bulky spacesuits, and we have so thin and slim spacesuits. It's kind of funny to see these very bulky, futuristic spacesuits. What could have been the
Yeah, the wind sets another tone that this is a different world. This is basically a hostile world, not really fit for human life, nor any sort of organism that would be able to cope with the terrain and the atmosphere and how the planet copes with its own environment and such. So,
yeah.
World. That's why I added in the part that the land looks more desolate. It doesn't look live, just looks dead. Nothing really looks like it's just a perfect little world, just more of a place where it just is basically damp and dark. Nothing good about it.
Yeah, definitely. And even here you can kind of see where they don't get along with each other. That, because Ripley here doesn't really care about Brett and Parker. Tell. They kind of give each other sarcasm and don't really care. They're just kind of whatever. We're gonna get what we have to do to get our pay with you guys. And it's clear that Lambert can't see anything, which I don't blame her. The debris flying in the wind is so dense that you really can't see anything. And I believe, we're about ready to get to the beautiful scene of them inside the spaceship.
UFO spaceship, to be precise. It's more of a sort of giant, older civilized ship than an actual sort of ship that anyone has ever known before.
If you want to get precise, it's called a derelict spaceship. That's what it's referred to in the film. And here we have the first appearance of Jonesy. The true star of Alien. Clearly, the cat's the best part. Here we are on the walls of the spaceship, as I'll refer to it. And you can really tell that the people here have never seen whatever this is. This is a whole new thing, and you can tell they're kind of worried about being. Oh wait, no, I'm so far.
Yeah, you're going way
I
too
took the.
far.
Yeah, they're right now. They're just walking on the planet's surface, and they're kind of freaking out.
And then there's a ship.
There's the ship. Yeah, they're kind of. They're baffled, and Ash here, he says, yes, I can see the ship, but I think he already knows what it is, even though he says he's never seen any.
Well,
and that's a great shot.
Don't reveal too much, E.T. You don't want to say anything to the audience and spoil it.
Well, if you haven't seen the movie already, I don't know why you'd be listening to our commentary.
True.
It's been out for 40 years, and if you want to listen to a commentary, you should listen to the one on the DVD before you listen to ours, because we're just going to be kind of discussing the film and, just going over what we think about it.
And about the space jockey!
Quick question. Why is it in the future they have such awful, camera quality?
Well, because company gotta pay cheap prices. They can't pay for advanced stuff. They gotta
it's probably
give them
from
cheap...
China.
Most likely.
Yeah. I mean,
Or
Weyland-Yutani is China, technically. And I love the miniature here for the spaceship. It is... They really put a lot of detail into the miniatures for the spaceship and, the ground surface below and everything. They paid attention to detail. Even the corridors on the spaceship are very detailed. And here we have them going in one of the holes, sealing their fate for all eternity. So I guess we can take this time. Jay, do you have any fun facts about anything we've seen so far?
Yes, about the space jockey. They actually
before we get to that, do you have anything you want to say about the camera angles and stuff right now being used to portray the spaceship, the innards?
Yes. They try to show it in a first-person perspective a lot, which actually is good because you could feel like, oh, you're actually looking from the view at some points in the film from one of the crew members here, and then you space out to see the more ambience of the hall, like everything about the ship and what it looks like and how advanced and quite amazing the ship looks.
Yes, and speaking of it, I get a very animalistic feeling from the way it looks. It looks like they're going up what could be a spine or something. It's a very naturalistic look for a spaceship. It looks like it could be part of nature and not a machine, but it is a machine.
Though it feels more cryptid in a way on how it's all sculpted and how it was built to be some sort of dropship carrier of some sort.
Yes. And here we have Kane kind of, I think, mentally freaking out right now, like, what is going on? And this, before we talk about it, the score right here is amazing. It is beautiful. I love this score. And here we have the first appearance of the space jockey. So, Jay, go ahead and say what you were going to say about the beautiful space jockeys that we have here.
Well, also known as the Prometheans, supposedly are in the Aliens universe the creators of humanity. But also, there was a short story that was implemented a long time ago about this space jockey that was carrying the black goo. If you haven't watched Prometheus, then, well, you'll probably know what it is by now from the Aliens franchise. But this poor jockey right here got himself face hugged from a while back. There's a room that's protruding inside of the space jockey. That you see right there is a chest burster that bursted a while back because he got face hugged. But in order to not have like the ship get taken in some way sort of controlled because of how intelligent mostly these aliens are, he had to crash land. But also everything else was most likely destroyed from the engine. I believe from the short film he did take out the chest burster, but thanks to the acid blood, it melted into the ship's engine, and then he had to make an emergency crash land. And then you see here, well, he's dead. There's
short
nothing
film are you referring to?
It was an animated short film. I'm trying to remember the YouTuber's name, but
Wait, so it's not official?
No, but then there was also someone who came in and said that this was an official from someone who messaged YouTube to help out in animation and such, and then they said that this would be the official thing because they wanted to have it.
I don't know. I know Ridley Scott is supposedly working on the third Alien in the prequel stuff that's going to explain how the derelict got impregnated and landed on LV-426. So I'm not sure if that is actually canon anymore.
Yeah, I'm not sure if the short is actually part of the whole canon thing. Maybe it's something to throw us off to think that, oh, this is what actually happened. So that's how this whole thing started.
Fan-made, personally, unless it was uploaded by 20th Century Fox, I don't consider it canon.
I always wondered what was with the blue lighting there, but then I figured out that it was just. Go ahead.
Oh no, you go, because I think you know the answer. I don't.
I think it's only because of the set on how the fog gases are rolling in and such, and how they're coping in with the lighting, certain things. But you could go ahead, yeah.
I was just gonna say this movie has a lot of blues and blacks to it to give it a dark, dingy, scary feeling, so I kind of feel like that's why they picked blue for the fog here. And here we finally get to see him break the layer of the fog, really, which kind of, I don't know why, but it's such an awesome scene to me. And I don't know how he falls there, but he does. It kind of felt like that could have been executed a little bit better, but you know, it's whatever. And I love these first person shots of Kane looking at the eggs here. But I don't think he's watched a horror movie before. You're not supposed to put your face or your hand on anything that's, you know, alien.
Nor I think he even has a brain at all.
But, and a funny thing here is they recorded it upside down so you can actually see the water dripping up instead of down, which I love that. It gives it a very otherworldly kind of feel, and you can see the egg starting to move as the facehugger inside starts to get active.
It has an iridescent look with what's inside of that. Though it doesn't show it, it does show more of its more gooish parts and such. And I don't think it's supposed to be like water. It's more mainly like a sort of clear slime, just to make it feel like it's more oozy and more of a weirdish leatherish type. And here we go with the face hugger.
You know, one thing I've always wondered is how did I'm gonna jump ahead a little bit, but how did the facehugger actually attach to Kane's face, and how come the helmet did what it did, which I'll talk about here in a second, but this is where everything goes south. I think we can all agree with that. He should have been left for dead, to be honest. They would have been much better off. But yeah,
mostly it's because of the contract. They can't leave a man behind.
Well, I don't think that's in their contract. I just think they're being human beings and not a cold-hearted robot.
Mainly that,
Ripley,
or again.
Even Ripley said she wasn't going to let them in, but she kind of got overruled by Dallas here. But you can clearly tell here that tension is starting to rise between all of our actors in the sequences, which I really love that aspect, that it's actually, they are starting to turn for the worse really quickly. It's a very slow build up, and now things are starting to escalate. But I love how Ripley's like, yeah, you're right, but I'm not listening, and then Ash is like, whatever, I'm doing it, because Ash knows what's going on. Yeah, right here. How did the facehugger get inside of the helmet, first of all, and how come the helmet solidified itself to whatever that is? I've never understood that. It's always got me confused.
It's because of the acid blood. It has like another sac somewhere where it could just use its own acid blood to break through whatever casing it has. You see, one of the egg sacs, the two other ones, one of them is the sleeping gas that has the own injection where it knocks out the host. And the other one is the air sac, so that way it won't kill off the host and choke him out for having its long tube-like thing that's supposed to send out these eggs inside of the host's body. But this is a regular face hugger, so it only sends out one. If it was a queen, then that would be worse.
Yeah. And I believe all these facehugger sequences were filmed upside down.
They were filmed upside down, and also in a room where they had everyone on set while everything is happening.
Well, not these, but...
Yeah, not these. But it's an interesting process here, too.
There's one thing that always freaked me out about watching this is when you look at Kane, his stomach, for some reason, goes in, and, the chest burster's not even out yet. It just looks so weird to me how he looks in that bodysuit, or, whatever that is. I don't know if that's the actual actor, but it looks very weird with the facehugger on it. But, in here we're getting what I would define as a CAT scan, as, they're kind of like, what are we gonna do? This is weird. We're gonna get it off of him. How are we gonna do that? And here we have Ash being like, oh, we should hold off and see what we can do. But you can tell Dallas is like, okay, we're gonna get it off of him.
They could just do a surgical procedure. They could just go ahead, do surgery, take it out from the chest and such. They don't have to actually like take the whole face hugger off. They could just wait until the face hugger just puts in the eggs and then go like, okay, time to do surgery on this guy and go.
They have no idea what a chest burster is. They don't know what.
Yeah, but they have they have the CAT scans. They could literally wait and see what the chest burster ingests in him, and
but
then
remember that they haven't ingested yet. It's still feeding him oxygen, getting ready to ingest. They just now realized that he does have acid blood, which I believe they use styrofoam for the acid blood.
Well, for the melting,
stuff.
yes. They used it for the melting, so that way they could have it feel more natural base, where the acid is leaking in the hull of the ship.
Yeah. Which, it's kind of amazing how this... It goes through 3 levels of a ship, and it's still burning. It's, it's really powerful acid when you think about it. So, also, again, kind of confirms that you should not screw around with a xenomorph or any of its life cycles.
Mainly don't get close enough, he'll spit acid blood at you.
Yeah. But, you can see how everybody now is like, yeah, we should have left him out in the cold, but they don't want to because, they need everybody to get the Star Freighter back to civilization. So now they're concerned what to do. And I love there's the little comedy thrown in here. It's not enough to make it quite apparent, but I really like how they did bring in comedy for this movie. It really does work.
It works well because it tries to lighten up the atmosphere in a sort of damp situation where it's either going to be costing to life or death or something worse.
Yeah. And then here we have more working on the spaceship. But do you have anything else you have info-wise for what we've seen so far?
Yeah. I like this score also, and the camera viewing for like the room where the crew member here is like laid down upon. It's showing how the space is right now and where he basically is placed in at the moment, and where the lab and how everything is. And you see here what's coming up is screening for the scan. Now this is the part where it doesn't make sense to me already, because he already found something at the point where, okay, time for surgery. Because they could have just done that, taken him out, placed him in containment somewhere, take it home, and they get their bonus for finding an unknown organism. But no, they just leave it in there.
But remember, Ash wants him to be impregnated. They want to see what happens. Nobody else knows what's going on except for Ash.
Well, they could, or they could just take the obvious route and just do a surgical way and just take it out and just wait till they get back home, because obviously one of the crew members could have had a theory about what was in there and what happened, because there was a space jockey that got previously impregnated and got bursted.
But they don't know that.
Most likely they would have a firm memory.
Well, the thing is, like, Ripley doesn't know it. Ash knows it and isn't saying anything. Parker and Brett have no idea, nor do they care. They just want money and to get home. Lambert's kind of freaking out right now, and Ash or Dallas doesn't really understand what's going on either. There's only one science officer. Everybody else is either, engineering or navigation or just monitoring the ship. You know, the only person that would have any idea is Ash. Everybody else is kind of in the dark for what's going on. Uh, they don't even know that what was on that spaceship is a space jockey, because it's never been seen or heard of before. But in here, like the lyrics or the quotes are saying how he's willing to take the risk of everybody on the ship. That's already setting up how things are not as they seem. He's willing to lose everybody to keep Kane on there and that face. But there's just something about Ash that's already like very off-putting at the beginning of the movie, and even now you're starting to get confused. And I love the camera movements here. They're so lively and they're so, I don't know, they feel natural.
Yeah, and Ash basically makes it seem more and more that he's being sketchy. Basically, he's trying to he's trying to cover up something, and he's trying to not let the rest of the crew know.
Yeah. And see, here we have, now they found out that the facehugger's gone, and they're all confused to what's going on now. And I don't even think Ash realizes what's going on here. I think it's just due to the fact that everything is so uncalled for that they have no idea what to expect. Ash has, I'd say, 25% of an understanding of what's going on here. Everybody else has about 2%, which is there's something on the spaceship, and it's attached to our crew member. That's basically all they know. And now apparently it's off faith. That's what they know. Ash has an idea that it may or may not have put something in his stomach, and Ash probably knows that this was a plan to bring back a creature. But I love the low angle shot here. Very, very mysterious and very suspenseful. And how, it follows everybody. It's a slow camera move. And you can kind of see everybody's reaction to what's going on. And I love the darkness, like this sequence here, where everything's behind Dallas. And you can't really see him that well. And then Ash is so lit up. It's a good contrast between the both characters.
This film basically goes all out with dark environments. It takes no obsession for any of the brighter atmospheres or anything. They make it so that way it could feel more horror-esque, more so like a dark environment. Okay, second jump scare of the film.
And real quick, I do want to say, that was the second jump scare. And fun fact here, they used oysters and stuff for the facehugger. But if you look at
puppet movement.
Yeah, if you look at Ripley and Dallas, I firmly believe that they have a relationship of some sort. the way they act around each other just makes it seem like they may or may not have a closer relationship than we are given. I love this sequence here where they start to pry open the facehugger, at least just to see the inner. I love seeing how it looks. You know, it's a very interesting factor, and you can kind of see for what they were going for when designing the creature.
They go for the parts of the anatomy about
Yeah.
facehugger, and they mostly show what's there and what it looks like on the other side of the facehugger. Now, here in this
Yeah.
scene, they try to talk about it, but try to make sense of the whole thing. But they can't really tell what the organism did to their own crew member.
Yeah. And see, here's a. Excuse me. This is another sequence where I can kind of see a Ripley Dallas relationship. Can you see that at all, or is that just me?
I see it, but it's a sort of rough relationship with the situation that's happening right now, because everyone is at the ambience of what's going on, of what is this sort of creature and what is it doing to one of their own crew members, and everyone is just at an unease that they most likely compromised the ship of some sort of infection, and now they may potentially die or something.
Yeah, there's definitely a sense of uneasement during. And here we have another beautiful shot of them lifting off. And I love the blue in the background. It really gives a flickering feeling, and it adds more of a skeptical nature as they lift off the darkness. But and like you said earlier, the score here really adds some sort of feeling to the sequence that I don't really think many films get. This is very suspenseful, very quiet. This film goes for the quiet, slow nature, just like Jaws, 4 years before it. It went for a very suspenseful and mysterious look. But what do you think about the miniatures used? I think that they're amazing, personally.
They've been used very well. The performance on them was great. The way that they've been used for certain scenes is really good, and it's so satisfying.
Definitely agree, and I love that shot there. It's very Star Wars-esque, but it looks really good. And here we are back on the Star Freighter. Everybody's happy, la-di-da-di-da. Everything's good, but we're still worried about what's going on with me. And then we have some character development here that kind of adds a little bit of connection between all the characters, which I think works very well here.
Now, they all try to knock off, talk about things, just chew out on meals and such, and most likely they all try to calm the situation down with whatever they could talk about and feel fine about it, because now they're on the main ship. Most likely they think that everything is under control and everything is perfectly normal by far.
Yeah, especially when Kane wakes up here. People believe now, everything is good, all is better, and we can now get on with our mission to get back home. And I love how they really gave John Hurt here. He doesn't look right. He looks like he's somewhat sick. It may be he looks a little pale. It also may be the sweat. He does not look like he is 100%. But I also love how, like, they show here that when you do get hit by a facehugger, you don't remember anything. Uh, but yeah, and here we have, it's coming up here. We now have the dinner sequence. This was a huge scene when it first was released. This was history in the making right here. This sequence here did something no movie had ever done before, and it really proved that this movie was something to be reckoned with.
It was the main highlight of the film.
I wouldn't
Mainly
say
so with
highlight, but it was a huge climax part.
well, the scene here has always been used for quite a lot of things. Mainly with the chest burster in most ways.
And see, like right here, it starts. And John Hurt did great acting here. He really acts like he's sick, and then everything starts to go to heck, and you can start to see issues. And somebody explained why they put a spoon on his face. I never got that, and I still don't. But and fun fact, whenever they cut to the chest bursting, that was not in the script. Nobody knew what was going on. A lot of this is, and there's the first bit of blood. Those reactions to the blood, that is purely them as actors. They had no idea what was happening. And here it is, the birth of a baby. Yeah, all those reactions were not planned. They had no idea what it was going to look like. And it's just perfect how the scene plays out here, where blood splatters, the chest burster looks around, and everything is now in an issue. It's not in a good spot. It went south very quickly, and now everybody's like, well, crap, we're screwed. And I think this is now where you can really set up the suspense and the
ambience of uncertainty of what's going to happen with our characters and what's going to occur through these events.
Yeah. And here we have the funeral sequence, which I think is also very important because this is the first time they've lost anybody on a ship for this crew of people. They haven't really lost people before, so this is a very traumatic experience for them, and I don't think they were planning on this happening. And again, the score here is beautiful. It's just great. I love this. And I love this sequence, how it starts to turn as it disappears into the night, and then we get a shot of the Stromo slowly on its way Earth. They really did the outside shots of the space star freighter justice here. It really does look great. I cannot say that enough. But here, now we are starting to get into them getting into the big picture going on. But I think since now it's just purely, let's look for the creature until we see the creature, why don't we just discuss kind of how we got found out about this movie? Jay, do you want to go ahead and start us off with what exactly, how exactly you got into this movie?
Well, I started looking to several channels when I got bored one day. I noticed they were streaming a movie such as Alien, and I got interested into watching it. I looked through the whole movie and it was, wow, this is a this is a really good film. Brings a lot of emotion between the characters, gives a lot for its enclosement with the corridors, and also the digestion of the ship, and also how each scene gets performed properly well. The execution in this film is just gorgeous.
Yes, Ridley Scott really knew what he wanted to do, and he stopped at nothing to get that. But, where would this rank on your favorite movies of all time, out of curiosity?
I would rank this most likely on a 9 out of 10 film rating, since this movie is really good. A lot of dark ambience with the films. Sometimes it got like good humor. Sometimes the humor just doesn't nail it, but for me, it's just really good. It's a great film. Lot of details in the design on how hard they worked for the film, how they managed to make everything look more based, and how they made it more like this could actually be a thing for the whole ship, the whole environment, and how they managed to have like the quality of life for the characters be actual people who are dealing with a sort of unknown situation that they haven't witnessed before.
Yeah.
It brings a lot of horror tones behind it, and a lot of sense of disturbing scenes and scenarios on how things happen. And also the jump scares are well placed, very well placed.
Yeah,
Not really enough where it could actually get you in a way, but it's good at the point where it just feels like it's actually there. It's at a really good spot, and it's at a good place to be really good.
Yeah, exactly. They time them out perfectly, like you really just. There's not too many of them to where it's bad. There's not too little, so it's not scary. When they are shown, they are not forced. They are very natural. I really like how they did execute all of these jump scares, and especially the one we are about to witness. Now personally, I got into this film. I was 7 when I first saw it. Trying to remember how I saw it. My parents always had this VHS called Alien, and on the front was an egg, and on the back it had a couple of pictures, and they also had a movie called Alien. Well, I had always wanted to watch the movies. And I just kept saying, "Can I watch this? Can I watch this? Can I watch this?" And they said, "No, wait until you get older." And then I said, "Hey, I feel like I can watch it." And I pulled the card that this one says anybody under the age of 17 can watch it. And they said, "Okay, you can watch it." So we watched it, and immediately I fell in love with it. It was great. It didn't scare me, but I loved the design of the creature. I loved all the characters, The feeling of it was very good to me. And here we are about to get the full reveal of the alien here in a few minutes here. I love this scene too. This is very... You know something's wrong. The fact that Jonesy's not coming to Brett. Brett is like, "Where are you?" And it's quiet. There's nothing here to help. It's dead silent. So I always love that about the scene. You know, it really gave a sense of, yeah, he's screwed. Especially when he goes into the room of chains and all that. Here in a second. And that, is it me or does that look like bullets right there? I just noticed that. Don't those look like bullets on the left-hand side of the screen?
Yeah,
no,
they
look
don't
on.
really, to me. They more look like capsules of some sort. More mainly batteries and such. And you get to see the molding here. That's how the xenomorph actually molds out of the chest burster, like a snake, basically. That's just its dead skin.
Yeah.
You get to
It
see that
sheds
part.
out.
You get to see that part of the evolutionary plane where the xenomorph molds out of its own shell and then grows into a full-size version.
Yeah, and here we go. This is the scene I was referring to with the chains. I never understood why it was so wet in this room. Because when you look, it is a very damp, very dark kind of uh, room. And I've always wondered how come it was so wet in this room, but who knows. You can actually, I don't know, I don't remember where it was. It might be in the director's cut. But you can actually see the xenomorph hanging on a chain, but it's like very, very dark. You can't really make it out that
And you can't
well.
really see it because mainly the whole body of the skin of the xenomorph is black. I like how it's black because it could camouflage within the dark corridors and areas where you can't even see him. You have to really
Yeah.
have a good eye in order to catch him. But they
Yeah.
mainly have a superb amount of speed. They're most likely probably faster than a raptor, and most likely even more deadly. And so, because
I
of how
don't
they could,
believe the drones are fast, which I believe that's what this alien.
yeah, it's a
Uh,
regular xenomorph drone, but they're fast and
yeah.
more volatile with their claws and tail whip. And I mean by
Um,
tail whip, I mean the little blade that's in the end of its tail that'll just freaking pierce through everything.
yeah. I love this scene where, it's you see Brett and it cuts back to Jonesy, but you can also see like the camera starting to go back as you see this giant creature come down and the close up of its face. I love how at the beginning here it makes it seem like this is a very large creature, larger than life, whenever it's more just human size. But I love the sound effects they use here for the alien. And I love that close up of the secondary jaw. And, we don't see what happens to Brett here, but in the director's cut, it shows Egomorphous or something. I don't remember what it's called, but,
It's an
Brett.
egomorphous where they most likely try to form a new egg out of the body.
Yeah.
So basically, it's a creation of a new face hugger egg. They show like it's a graphical. It's very graphical it's very graphical as to how it all morphs into an egg.
Yeah,
And
I don't know if it forms into a face hugger. I don't think they do. I think it. See, the thing is, like, I don't know if you can count that canon because it kind of ruins the life cycle of an alien. I'm not sure.
Well, it doesn't when it forms into a xenomorph egg or a face hugger egg, to be precise.
Well,
it's more like an
it's
incubation break. You
What were
go
you?
ahead.
No.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
It's more like some sort of incubation process of like creating a new organism through cellular quantities and how it produces the face hugger.
I gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if it makes a face hugger, mainly because the eggs are like 3 times the size, because they're made out of a human, unlike the regular eggs that are like the size of my leg.
Oh no,
I
no. The egg morphing has to be complete in order for that to happen. It has to be fully complete. Like the whole uh face hugger egg has to be more so like what you've seen from there, just in order to be actually complete and be able to produce a face hugger.
I
And fun fact, the eggs are actually alive. They actually be able to like they only sense force of movement. Like if you go into like a certain area where it starts feeling more and more movement, then it'll open up the hatch for the face hugger to be able to pop out and attempt to implant a chest burster in its host. There's like a certain distance where it'll start feeling more kinetic motion, basically. So those things are basically sensitive. You have to be at like a certain distance where they won't gain any sort of kinetic motionality for whatever is approaching the egg. Let's say like some
I
sort of
get.
defense mechanism of some defense mechanism whenever an organism comes near or whatever comes close by, just for the egg to protect the face hugger. Because the face huggers don't have like a uh, long lifespan. They have a short
Yeah.
lifespan, so they have to be able to inject the egg inside of an organism before they die from the short lifespan that they have.
Yeah. Um.
This vent scene really sets a lot of claustrophobic tones.
I love this scene. This is amazing. The way they film this scene is so good.
Plus, you feel like you're in like the endoskeleton of the ship. The vents and everything else just feels really good, and it just feels like you're more like isolated in a spot where all you only have is your communication headset and flamethrower and such, and that's it.
Yeah. And I love this here where like Dallas knows he's dead. He knows it, so he's close all the hatches. He doesn't want it getting out. His intention is kill the alien and die doing it. Because he knows
He
if
doesn't. He doesn't know he's gonna die yet. There's a potentiality that he'll might, but he's trying to have all the hatches closed behind him, so that way the xenomorph won't try to go around in the vents somewhere and try to get him from the back without him even noticing. Which
that
is
didn't
smart.
work out too well.
No, the xenomorph just found another way to get to him.
But I love this. It's the camera angles and everything really add the depth of, or not the depth, but the claustrophobia here. I love that. It really helps making a memorable sequel. So we're about we're a little over halfway into the film now. What so far, what has your favorite moment been for this movie?
My favorite moment is like right here with the vents because you feel more enclosed. There's more encapsulations with the scenes, and you just feel like everything just feels very, very dense and claustrophobic, and you just feel as if you'll just get placed in a situation where you'll be placed in enclosed areas, and it'll just feel like you won't be able to know what's happening throughout everything else, because you'll think that, oh, there's enclosed areas, I'm in vents and such, and I'm just having everything close up right behind me. I think I'm more secure in in these vents than where I am, and I think I should be able to get around easily without them having to get me from the back. Now, that's the wrong part because he's just found another way through. And it seems now that the xenomorph is playing it smart right now and getting closer and closer to Dallas. This sets up the tone with the chase that I'm talking about. And then there's the jump scare.
Yeah. I love how, I kind of feel like the alien was playing with Dallas. It's just the way he acts, to me, feels like the alien knows what he's doing, so he just, goes around and messes with his prey before killing it.
The xenomorph is more like an intelligent sort of species. They know how to adapt for their environments, and they know how to maneuver around certain areas where it would seemingly be hard for them to get past by. And if necessary, they would go ahead and use their blood just to get past through certain objects. Just as like a learning process, because they could actually break through certain objects and obstacles that are in the way, since because of how aesthetically powerful the blood is.
Yeah.
That's how you would see through an evolution phase that there's several certain types of xenomorphs. There's a spitter. There's even a ginormous version, which I don't know how that occurs, but I have one theory that there's also some sort of used to be huge animal types around in LV-426, where the xenomorphs could impregnate them and evolve into some sort of giant armored xenomorphs, practically.
Yeah, that's a lot of spin.
It's a lot of information that I'm pulling down on the table. It's a lot from what I learned from the Aliens franchise and throughout this one. Like, from the movie, you can't really kill the xenomorph. It's tough to kill. You need some sort of more powerful base weaponry. Not a pistol or revolver, mainly so like a weapon that could pierce through a xenomorph's armor.
Yeah.
Because if you try to if you use like some sort of small base firearm weaponry, it's not gonna pierce through them. And the flamethrower that they're using in this film is weak. It's not strong enough. It'll keep the xenomorph away, or at the point where it'll just make him flee off. But it's not gonna keep him away. Well, it's not gonna kill him, basically. You just have to hope for the best that he actually does run off from catching fire, and hope for the best that he doesn't try to use the weak fire-based weaponry and then try to use its claws or its tail whip or use its secondary jaw to kill you.
Yeah.
And those jaws are powerful. They could break through anything. including the blade. If you get caught by a tail whip, then you're basically screwed because that thing will just pierce through your whole entire chest, and yeah, you'll be either mauled apart or you'll just have your face get freaking get jawed up by the secondary jaw and just been given a nice little shave.
I got you. Real quick, I do want to bring up I'm trying to think of the word here. The urgency of this scene. You know, it's cutting back and forth to Mother to Ripley and her finally finding out that them dying is exactly what was planned, that this is not an accident. And I love how Ash creepily gets in and Ripley's like, how did you get in here? And she's having a mental breakdown right now. She is about ready to she's gone. She's mentally gone. Right? She's upset with Ash. She's upset with the company. She's scared. She's nervous. Everything is going south. She wants the creature dead. She wants everything gone. And I love, I don't know why all of a sudden I can't think of Ash's actor. I love how he portrays Ash here. This really, really goes through all the way. He does not stop. I love how Ash is literally on the curb, breaking down. He is crazy, right? And I don't think that's a plan that he had, but it's gone all the way. He's going crazy now. Ian Holm, and I love right there the little drop of white sweat. But
it's not white sweat, because then you get to actually know later on, when Ash gets killed off, that this whole entire time he's actually an android, not an actual human.
Yeah. And right in here, I love this part. Like, Ash cannot kill a human, but he cannot stop. He can put a magazine down somebody's throat and strangle him. So I love the idea that Ash cannot technically harm a human being. Because he hasn't yet. He's just pulled hair out and thrown Ripley onto a bed. He hasn't physically harmed her in any way. But he's about to shove a magazine down her throat and choke her. I love that. And you can see, like, his programming starting to screw up. Because he's starting to, like, I don't know what it should be described as, but he's, like, going haywire here. And I love how, like, Ash can take on, like, 3 people at once. Here, it's kind of funny how he's the least capable, like, physical person, and yet he can, like, take them all on. And I love this right here. Ian Holm did amazing with the flying everywhere, spewing out the yogurt and milk that they gave him to spew out his blood. And I love right there, the knocking off the head. Great. This is a classic scene coming up after they have officially basically screwed up Ash's face. And all the white stuff that is actually, like I said, that's milk and yogurt. It's very disgusting from what I've heard, and nobody liked having. And basically now everything's gone to heck. Everybody's dead. Ash is an android and is, like, freaking out. Ripley's having a mental breakdown. Lambert's mentally out. She's been out since the beginning of the film. Parker's, like, scarred for life now because he knocked off his crew member's head which turned out to be an android, but it is just everybody is on the edge. There is no one person that's perfectly okay now. And I love this scene here with Ash and all of this. This is great. It really adds. He's a corrupt company, like any other. And I would say this is one of my favorite. I love the quote that says here, like a perfect organism. The sound of his voice and everything, like it really hammers it home that he's an android. Do you have anything you want to say about this scene, really?
Yes. They made the android really good. They made it look like it's supposed to be some sort of cyber, more based like a cyborg than just an actual robot. But they made it more like its own sentient being. It's not really its own person, but it's more based as a part of programming android.
Yeah.
Basically, they been made to look like humans. They've been made to do basic dangerous works and such, and they're programmed to do certain things.
Yeah.
But also, this is the main genesis of what Wayland Yutani, the company, did to make their sort of android models. To have the androids do more of the harder work for their programs, and rather than just having the humans do all the dangerous such, which also gave them more power line, because the androids have been proven to be useful for a lot of sort of dangerous tasks, and also for basically a more advanced computer hive mind, and also well, not a hive mind, but mainly more of like a supercomputer and more of a technical type of android.
Yeah. Real quick, the face he does whenever they unplug him is horrifying. Especially when they start burning him. It is horrifying, and it would scar anybody who's afraid of weird smiling android creature. It's right now going on if you're following. We commentate over, but it's especially whenever the bits and pieces of the skin flies off, and it's like a smooth under.
It's basically
the
showing
skin.
itself to be more like a actual mannequin than yeah, because it's like, oh dang, that's a mannequin type of thing this whole time, and it just leaves the ambience of it like being sort of terrifying, because it's just a mannequin under all that human skin that really just shows off everything about it.
Yeah, it gives it a lifeless kind of mood to me.
Now, this is when I think Sigourney Weaver really does well as Ripley, because she starts taking action after knowing what's been happening this whole entire time. She starts having to be more situated and calm, and this is really showing how amazing she is as a character, as a protagonist.
Yeah. And fun fact, they always wanted her, Ripley, or the main character, to be a female, and I do want to really hammer home that female representation was not a new thing. This Ripley, the character, is one of the greatest heroes in any sci-fi franchise. ever. I want to stress that immensely. Ripley is a great character, not only in this one, but the one before. Or one after. Not before, this was the first one. And
Ripley
I
is like one of the best uh, protagonist characters in like all sci-fi. Mainly, she's like one of the greatest examples of how female actors should be portrayed throughout these whole films. And Alien really set that up very well for a female protagonist.
Yes, agreed. Most definitely. So, and here we have, they're starting to think, hey, we're going to get out of here. We're going to be safe. We're going to get everything we need, and we're going to get off. But unfortunately, life wants to hit you in a bad spot, and you kind of nothing goes right. In here, you can tell by the lighting, things are not good. They're kind of south for everything now. You really don't know what's going to happen. Ripley, I love the lighting here. The lighting in this stuff is beautiful. And of course, Ripley has to go back for the cat because Jonesy is the true star of the movie. Now, it's cutting back and forth to Ripley, to Parker, and Lamb. Ripley's more of a suspenseful, quiet mood, while Parker and Lambert is a more actiony, suspense horror mood. This is probably the most controversial scenes out of all of them from what I've read. I'll get to it here in a second, but the alien apparently does something not many people think an alien. Also originally here, that's later on. I'll say that later. But I love how we're back here where we were at the beginning of the movie. It's kind of gone almost full circle. We're back to where we were when the movie started, and now everything's changed. From the music to the sounds, characters, everything has gone haywire.
It connects the whole scenes of the movie with the entirety of the ship with everything else. Every single part, every single scene has a connection to it, which is really good.
Yeah. And here, what's that? Oh, it was a shadow. That shadow is horrifying. Oh, wait. Is that what I think it is? It is. It's an alien. My question here is, why did nobody move? Like, you could have easily burned the creature or run it. Do something. This is probably the dumbest scene in the whole movie. I never understood why, get out of there. Don't just stand there screaming. But, the alien here is acting different. Instead of killing on sight, it's actually looking and taking its time. Which, apparently, from what I've read, this scene is more controversial than people believe. The alien is actually going to do something to Lambert that was not supposed to happen. But before that can happen, the alien has to kill Parker with stabbing him in the head with their secondary jaw. Which I love how, it's very quick and it's violent, but it's very quick and kind of unknown how these people die. But apparently, the alien here decides to not only kill Lambert, but apparently rape her. Which, I can't confirm that, but from what I've read...
he didn't. He just pierced his tail through Lambert's bottom part through the whole entire... Yeah, it's a very graphical kill.
Now, it is off-screen, but a lot of stuff in this film was supposed to be more of the suggestive adult-ish feel. The designs of all of the things, from the eggs to the facehuggers, to the xenomorph, to the chest, to how they're born, to how they can die, and how they kill. Everything is somewhat adult oriented, which I do like that, but it's also very disturbing when you think about it that way. Definitely something you wouldn't think an alien from outer space, you know? And now Ripley's the only one alive, except for
Jonesy.
Jonesy. But Jonesy's in a box, sitting, waiting for Ripley, while the alien is roaming. You know, I always found it interesting here where Ripley is done. Ripley just decides, screw it, we are blowing up the ship, I'm done, you know?
That's part of the plan in the first place that she formulated with Lambert and Parker. But everything...
now she's gone full action. Somewhat. She has no ability except to blow it up, but, you know, even in her face, you know, she is having a mental breakdown right now. If not that, it's an anxiety attack that she's never had before.
She's basically knowing that she's all alone, she's isolated, she has no one else to do anything, and now she has to be the one to do everything and destroy the ship. And also get to the escape, to the ship right on time before the ship explodes.
Yeah.
She's basically put on a time base where she has to get there quickly, but also to be careful for the xenomorph, because most likely the xenomorph would find out what she's doing, and if she's not careful enough, she could get caught and most likely killed by the xenomorph like the rest of the crew.
Yeah.
As you could see, you could figure out how the whole scene just set in tone with how the alarms is going off while Ridley is trying to make sure that she's not being chased down by the xenomorph, and is trying to get to the ship right on time before the Nostromo self-destructs.
And again, this sequence here, I love it. The lighting, the sounds, sirens, Ripley, Sigourney Weaver's acting in here, everything, it's so suspenseful and so good that it really hammers home suspense in the build-up. You've been waiting for the alien to finally show up. And Ripley is not going to have it. She's been through a lot, and she's done. She wants the alien dead, but she can't kill it because she knows she can't. And originally right here, Jonesy was supposed to get impregnated by the alien. So, you know, there's some interesting concepts here. I believe this is also close to where... No, it might have been... Ripley was going to find Dallas Brett's body. I don't think it was here. I think it was right before Parker and Lambert died, and she went... I think it was in... That was... but...
Yes, she was gonna find Dallas's body all placed up in egg morphing stage, where you could see how the egg morphing works and such, and how a xenomorph egg would be made in a very graphical sense. I believe that was in the director's cut that they shown that.
Director's cut in the movie novelization. And, you know, I love this too. I love this part where Ripley thinks it's good, but then he finds out it's too late. It's now or never. And yeah, Ripley's just like, oh god, she cannot get a breakdown. She literally can't. Everything is gone wrong. Nothing is going to. But by now, I don't know what else she would expect. Everything's no good anymore. So she's now, and I love the camera here. It's very realistic. It's following her movement. It's showing like the urgency that she has. Sweat on her face shows stress she's going through. Really, the atmosphere of this film hammered home in every single possible. Um, and this is probably my favorite scene in the whole sequence in the whole film. From the aliens' arrival to Ripley right now with the strobe lights going, everything is perfect. From the flamethrower burning right now to all the steam and stuff going, it is just perfect. This is what should be in a film. The camera angle is angled up, so you're looking up at the hero, but you're also seeing more of the corridor than you expect. So Ripley thinks by now, she's right where the alien was. She thinks, okay, the alien's here. Not, I'm safe. We're good to go. We'll see how well that works. But what else do you have to say about this sequence, or overall what's going on?
The sequence really brings a lot into it, where she has to move slowly throughout this whole scene. It gives like a lot of emotionality with the strobe lights going off, with the lighting and everything else. It brings a lot into this film. And also,
Yeah.
I'll admit, that really looks like a good thumbnail or what was it that I was thinking? It was a good tabletop poster or thumbnail that you would put for that scene for Ridley when she's going through the hallway with the flamethrower.
Oh
But
yeah, that's good screenshot. But so personally, I think she's safe now. There's no way the alien got on board this little ship. She's safe and sound. Everything's gonna be hunky dory. Just the opposite of everything else that's happened today. And is it me or is this little shuttle like Millennium Falcon?
it's a bit Millennium Falcon-esque, but it's more like its own futuristic tone than actually being something that's more based on the Star Wars vehicle. It's more its own thing rather than just
Yeah.
having to be not creative in most ways.
You can see where Star Wars heavily was influenced on the designs of the spaceship. Everything else, not so much, but the spaceships and all that, they really give me a Star Wars-esque feel.
And now you see how she's feeling relieved about everything else, how she managed to get away from the ship, and now the Nostromo is destroyed.
The Nostromo is destroyed, and the alien is dead to her. But is it though? You'll have to come in next episode when we find. I'm kidding. That'd be an awful spot to end it.
Yeah, just and everything else, and just have it end right there with Sigourney Weaver just chilling and seeing the whole Nostromo explode, thinking that everything's good. Nah, you're not getting away that easy, fella.
Yeah. And yeah, see, even the quote she said, "I got you," she believes everything good. She's now got rest she can, go to sleep and get back to Earth, and it's just she believes everything is good to go, and life is a great thing. She's been through an experience, and she is happy it's over, finally. And even like the music here, it's quiet and it's very mellow, but it kind of helps give you the idea of what Ripley believes. And of course, Jonesy, the true star of the movie. Perfect, Jonesy should deserve an Oscar for this movie. Look at that acting skills.
This whole
Yeah,
scene tries to calm the atmosphere, making it feel everything's hopeful, that now Ripley managed to get off the ship. The alien organism is supposedly dead, and now everything should be fine.
Yep.
All she needs to prepare for the long journey back home, because that frigate is not really more like a space traveling type of shuttle. It's more like an actual SOS type of ship. It doesn't have any capabilities of being able to travel through the vastness of space in a matter of time. Well, in a short amount of time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, like it's got like 1 to 2 cryotubes, and that's basically it. It's surprisingly weird how those tubes on the wall look like the alien. So weird,
Yeah, it makes you think that the xenomorph is actually hiding there, and it looks like that he's just camouflaging with everything else.
Yeah. Wait, well, oh my god, it's there. It's not dead. Oh my god. There's no way. How is this possible? Oh my god.
Mainly, it followed her all the way there.
Yeah.
It knew what was happening when it found Jonesy. And it went and followed Ridley straight to the dropship.
Well, the shuttle. I think the alien was already in the shuttle, knowing that Ripley would be there. I don't think the alien followed her, because there's no way he... but... Yeah, and I love the idea that it's an actual creature, but it looks so metallic, it blends in with its surroundings. I love that. That's amazing, and that's such a cool concept for the creature. And I love this entire sequence. It's so good. Ripley is literally shaking right now, and she doesn't know what to do. But, she's gonna try and do something.
Well, she has an idea of what to do, but it's a risk.
Yeah. I love how the alien's just slowly coming, it's just slowly moving. And it's going to, get out eventually.
It's mainly sleeping or such. It's not even awake. If it was, then it would have been over already.
Well, I just think the alien's now toying because it knows it's going to eat Ripley. At least it thinks it can. But what the alien doesn't realize is this movie's in for about 6 more sequels, and Ripley's in 4 of them. So, it can't really kill Ripley.
Well, one of them that I just don't really like. That fourth one was too goofy to me.
We'll get to that one eventually. I love I absolutely love the helmets. They're so bulky. They're just so cool. I love them. So now Ripley's resorted to a harpoon and a space suit. I don't know what she's going to do with that, but it can't be much, right?
Well, typically she's gonna try to vent the xenomorph out. She's gonna open up the airlocks and most likely open up the door so that way she could vent out the xenomorph and take him out into the deep damp space.
Yeah. Oh, fun fact. This right here where Ripley's saying you're a lucky star, lucky, lucky, lucky. That was all improvisation. That was what Sigourney Weaver did. She just came up with it on the spot, I believe.
Which is very clever.
Yeah. And I love this where, she's like, I'm gonna vent him out. And it surprisingly works. The alien starts screaming and squealing as Ripley's kind of like, oh my god. And that's exactly what she said right there was, oh my god. Because she's freaking out right now. So, she's having another anxiety attack probably as this alien slowly gets up and gets ready to attack Ripley, or thinks it can attack Ripley. As she turns around. I think it's due to the fact she cannot mentally do this anymore. She's been through such a traumatic experience that it's all over.
Hi.
But here the alien is now hanging on to dear life, and we think it's gone until the harpoon gun gets stuck and is dislodged into the door, and she watches the alien goes into the little rocket tube.
Thrusters.
Thrusters, thank you. I couldn't think of the word there. But as the alien gets blasted out of the thruster, I love the camera angle there. I love how it's a little dampish, and how we just, in a distorted view, we see the alien fly off into space. As Ripley stares out and is relieved that everything is over. And I love this final quote, how she's, she just basically says, everybody's dead. Yeah, I'm going to go back to Earth, and somebody's going to pick me up, hopefully. But I definitely feel like, and I think Aliens touched on this a bit, but she's definitely going to have some major PTSD after this. There is no way you can come out of an alien encounter with all of your friends dying without some sort of mentally troubled memories.
Mainly, she's gonna be scarred for life of the events of what happened during this whole film. And she's gonna feel so much claustrophobic about how the events of this whole film happened. And this scene right here also sets up the tone as not really of a good ending. It's somewhat of a good ending, but it also leaves it to a damn unknown ending, because you don't know what the fate of Ripley is. You don't know if she's gonna get saved. You don't know if someone's gonna find the ship eventually, and you don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Yeah. And I love the ending credits here. It's so peaceful and calm. Everything's hunky dory. You know, I love that. It's a good way to end one of the greatest sci-fi movies of all time. Uh, so now we're just gonna let the credits roll here. But I guess since the film's basically over, do you have any other facts you wanted to bring up?
Yes, the xenomorph. Uh, I'm trying to remember who was the actor who played as a xenomorph, but he really did very well in his performance in the suit.
Yes.
It really felt like it was an actual organism rather than something that was like it felt more lively.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
whole
most definitely.
movement and sort of control of the whole scenes was really good. There's parts that were really good as well that had really good highlights, and including most of the scenes were also used as ways to place as thumbnails for these sort of posters for like the alien and such. Like where you see how they have these posters, they have it on like dark green lighting for.
Yep.
Yeah, and they also have Sigourney Weaver as the star of it. She's also wearing the spacesuit as well. But you don't see the alien air anywhere, but you only see it as a reflection on the glass window of the helmet.
Yeah. Uh, so we have came to the ending of the movie. The movie is now concluded and everything is over. This is where we will now discuss what we think of the movie. Jay, do you want to start us off or do you want me to?
No, you go ahead, mate.
Okay. Amazing movie. I love this movie. This movie, like I said, one of the greatest films from sci-fi of all time. This beats Star Wars, personally. This beats Empire Strikes Back. This beats The Thing. This beats Jaws. This beats Creature from the Black Lagoon. This beats Close Encounters of the Third Kind. This beats any sci-fi movie I can think of, except a very few. There's about maybe 10 or so that may beat Alien. But I absolutely adore the film. Alien was a great movie. The actors in it did the best they could. Special effects were great. The lighting, cinematography, the atmosphere, score, the beautiful score. Even though the person that made the score, the musician, did not feel like he was treated fairly, that he was kind of thrown to the curb, he did beautiful. All of the stuff he did, amazing work. I love this film. I think this film still stands up today. The special effects in it are perfectly fine. There's a few times it looks slightly dated, but it's not. It looks like it could have been made in the last 10 years. It's so well. I love this film, and I think it's a perfect example of what a horror film should be. That's a good wrap up there. Jay, what do you think of the film?
The characters and everything is really good. Outstanding performance by Ridley Scott. A lot of the characters really performed well in their scenes. The execution was really good. And this movie is literally one of the all-time best best films that you would ever see. It definitely could stand against the test of time, and it's also a movie that should be looked upon for like learning to make really good horror films, and also any sort of future type of sci-fi film. The tensity of the film and the sort of unknown isolation and the dense corridors and everything else, including the textures and the designs of the areas in the films, the scenes, the xenomorph, the aliens, looks fantastic. Literally one of the best films that you would ever see in the century. Beats all records, has like the best things that you would possibly ever put on the screen, and something that you would definitely want to take note on.
Yes. Most definitely. I can't disagree with you anything there. Ridley Scott, like you said, amazing direction for how this film and where this film should go. He had a clear idea and he fulfilled it. H.R. Geiger, amazing work on the suit. I just I don't know if we can say anything that hasn't been said during the commentary or, anything. It just everything about the film is amazing. It was ahead of its time. It was wonderfully executed, and it's other
It's
than
a
its sequel.
it's a breathtaking film.
Yes.
Other than what the sequel brought on the table, it's really one of the best films that you would ever see in the last years before the 80s arrived. This is literally one of the best late 70s films that you would ever see.
I would agree with that. It's one of the best horror films of the late. The only other one I could think that I may like more, but I don't know, would be John Carpenter's The Fog. I adore that movie with all my heart. So, that would be the only other thing I could think of that could even compete with Alien. And to me, they are on two separate sides of spectrum. I don't see how they can actually really make much sense. Yeah, like, I'm trying to think if there's anything else we can say. The characters, the lighting, photography, score, character development. That's another thing this franchise did well at its beginning. It developed the characters enough that we didn't need to worry about extra stuff. We just knew what we had to know, and that was that. I think that was great. It worked out perfect. Definitely this film fits for our October commentary. It's not a full-fledged horror movie, but it definitely has the horror elements in it that I think make it fall under the category of horror.
Definitely.
I think that's basically it. Can you think of anything else?
Not as much. There's not really many problems that you would think would be in the film. As you stated before, some of the scenes in there doesn't feel like one of the characters actually slipped, and there are some things that feels a bit dated, but there's barely any sort of criticism I would put. This movie is really good. There's barely any problems that you would actually see come out of this film. Just everything looks so breathtaking.
And One thing I find interesting is it only won one Academy Award. It won award for Best Visual Effect, which is great for it, but I can't believe it didn't even go up for anything really. I'm surprised it didn't win anything else. It only won Best Special Effects. It was nominated for Art Direction and Set Direction. It should have won that. That was great. It was a nominee for Best Original Score for the Golden Globes. The BAFTA Awards, it won BAFTA Film Award for Best Production Design. It won Best Soundtrack. It was a nominee for some sort of film awards. It won the BAFTA Film Award for. Oh no, it was a nominee for Best Costume Design, Best Editing, Most Promising Newcomer to a Leading Role, Sigourney Weaver, and Best Supporting Actor, John. Yeah, I can't believe this film didn't win as much. It did, however, win from the Saturn Awards. It won Best Science Fiction, Best Supporting Actress, Veronica Cartwright, Best Director, Best Actress. Oh, it was nominated for Best Actress, not win. Didn't. It was nominated for Best Writing, Best Makeup, along with Best Special. So it got enough awards, but I definitely think this film deserves more.
Definitely does. It's just that most likely thanks to how the movie scares off a bunch of people and how it makes it so disturbing that it probably went lightly on the rewards, but I don't see how this movie wouldn't be able to gain so many other awards. This is really a masterpiece.
Yeah. Yes, most definitely. This should be in the Criterion Collection. Criterion, if you're listening, which you're not, you should put this Criterion Collection. But eventually we'll get to the sequel, Aliens. We'll do a commentary over it. And then I guess we'll compare the two at the end, which one we prefer. I personally think that Alien is a strong start to a franchise that eventually became B-movie level. I love this film. I think we both do. It's great. It's a part of history, and it should not be looked over. Well, I guess this is a good place to end it. This is probably the longest episode we've ever done. So I guess you can find me on YouTube as ET13 Production. And you can find me on Twitter as ET13 Production. Jay, is there anywhere we can find you at?
Unfortunately, at the moment, I don't have too many social media sites, but you should be able to find me on Twitter or ET's Discord channel.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to our very first commentary. Thank you, Jay, to be our new co-host. I think you'll do very well. Thank
Pleasure.
you guys so much. And I think this has been a pretty good discussion for the week. This has been your Kaiju Conversation crew, where we talk big every week.